or Bitcoin or debt. Now, what we're saying about debt is that the debt's been increased and been doubling for years and years and years. What is it now, 10 trillion or so? To 20 or 25 trillion in one swoop, right? So then that's how you get your hyperinflationary collapse and the dollar collapse, and that's what Bitcoin's been telling us all along. Yeah, no, I've been studying these gold bugs, for a while, and as gold continues to lacklusterly go nowhere, they're reaching deeper and deeper into the canon of quotes to come up with something to say.
Bitcoin's adoption doubles every year. It is currently at 2% global penetration. Slowly, then all at once. And here's that chart.
Well, right, there, think of lily pads, right, in a pond. It takes them a while to cover half the pond, and then the next move, they double again, and they cover the entire pond, right? That's exponential growth, and that's why it's shocking to people. The human mind can't really take this on board. So whether it's the Human Genome Project or the internet or Bitcoin or debt. Now, what we're saying about debt is that the debt's been increased and been doubling for years and years and years. And now we're at a point where the next bailout of these banks, and they're going to get bailed out again, they have to double the money supply again. They have to double M1 again. So that means they have to go from, what is it now, 10 trillion or so, to 20 or 25 trillion in one swoop, right? So then that's how you get your hyperinflationary collapse and the dollar collapse, and that's what Bitcoin's been telling us all along. And it's amazing that these PhDs from Yale, like Ben Bernanke, or Nobel Prize-winning economists like Paul Krugman at the New York Times, don't understand exponential functions. It's incredible that they have gainful employment writing about this stuff. And of course, when it all happens, they'll say they never saw it coming. They'll blame it on something else. Paul Krugman will blame it on aliens. They're already seeding the alien argument by claiming that there's a lot more UFOs out there. So yes. America's defaulting on their debt again, as they did in 1971. It was a massive default on American debt. They're defaulting on their debt again. And when you default on your debt, and Russia's already completely out of the dollar. We've been tracking that exact progress from the money printing and what it does. And we're at the inflection point now where you can't mask it anymore like they used to. Because remember, financial engineers on Wall Street, they were able to figure out a way to print money but have it go around the labor market, right? So wages have been flat. Before this recent derivatives-led financial engineering era that we live in, when money supply increased, wages would go up, you see, and that was a price signal, and then you'd have the business cycle. There's no coin out there that can do that Bitcoin doesn't do already or will be able to do shortly. And what you're buying with Bitcoin is security. So there's been a couple of major hard forks in Bitcoin, like Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, and they're not secure. They're just not secure. I wouldn't put anything on those chains or build anything on them because they're not secure. Other coins are clear exit scams. They have huge pre-mines that the founders are selling or dumping and making a lot of money. A lot of people are losing money and they have no use case. And that number is just going to keep going higher. So within 5 years, Bitcoin will have 99% of the hashing power and 99% of the market cap, right? And everything else will be just completely marginalized. You already see now the volume in trades. I think Bitcoin now has 90% of all the volume of all these. It's between three top coins with Bitcoin dominating. They have 90% of the volume. So the daily volume in the other 5,000 coins is so minuscule. It's to be completely almost non-existent. So they're completely useless. They have no purpose whatsoever. So they will all just fade away. There was between 2014 and 2017, there was this big period of all these coins coming out. And there was a lot of experimentation, and the message was always, this is the new Bitcoin, this is the better Bitcoin, et cetera. Yeah, it's amazing that the Virgin Galactic took Bitcoin to secure places on his space shuttle, and he converted it immediately to fiat money. He didn't hold any on his balance sheet. So the people who bought those tickets when Bitcoin was a few $100s, are probably regretting that choice. They talk about people wasting money on buying a toaster or a camera with Bitcoin back in 2011, 2012. Imagine putting up $250,000 or $500,000 for 2 seats back then. Would now be worth over $1 billion. And of course, they didn't keep it in their balance sheet either. So that's the way things were back in 2011. Their emphasis on payments was really strong at that time. And digital gold, as we now have come to understand more fully, was still not firmly entrenched in the mindset. And as gold continues to lacklusterly go nowhere, they're reaching deeper and deeper into the canon of quotes to come up with something to say. Here we are quoting Confucius to add some content into the blogosphere while gold continues to do nothing. Well, that's an interesting idea, and the disorder may come someday, and we may see gold go up someday. That's true. It hasn't happened in the last year or so, but it might happen. All that money printing went to China, and now it's coming back in the form of higher prices. And it's structural, it's secular, it's not temporary, and it's the beginning of an inflationary era. The only thing we have to look for to really confirm this would be A, the bond market, and B, the US dollar. So the US dollar is moving up, which would imply deflation. So that's giving us a counter signal. And also the bond market, continues to trend higher. The 10-year, is it going to go below 1%? I mean, it could, I suppose. But at some point it does run out of speed. It's a lot closer to the end of that cycle than even the near to the end. It's getting down to the very bitter end. I don't seem to understand how the economy can take on so much debt and at the same time prices for stuff are skyrocketing, right? So in the example of houses, houses are up like 20% a year. And that's not considered inflation. And the government, in response, is printing lots of money or expanding credit to encumber the country with more debt. So it's not inflation or deflation. It's a case of misrepresentation, essentially, in that you've got those who have the most capital also own the media outlets. So they present an illusion, a hologram, a story, propaganda on the mainstream media outlets. And they use terms like inflation and deflation. They use them incorrectly. They should be talking about feudalism and neo-feudalism. They should be talking about hyperinflation, as Bitcoin is demonstrating. Everything is in a hyperinflationary collapse against Bitcoin. So those are the real things that are happening for real. Or Bitcoin or debt. Now, what we're saying about debt is that the debt's been increased and been doubling for years and years and years. And now we're at a point where the next bailout of these banks, and they're going to get bailed out again, they have to double the money supply again. And that number is just going to keep going higher. So within 5 years, Bitcoin will have 99% of the hashing power and 99% of the market cap. All that money printing went to China, and now it's coming back in the form of higher prices.